Hi friends! In this video, I'm going to be doing today's science lesson with you. Now, yesterday you took your Unit 8 science test and we are now done with Unit 8. So today we're going to be starting a new unit, Unit 9. And in Unit 9, we're going to be learning all about matter. Now, don't worry if you don't know what matter means because that's what we're going to be learning today. So if you open up your book, the unit actually begins on page 325. But I want you to open your books to page 326. At the end of this section today, we'll go back to that first page, 325, and fill in the answers. But we're actually going to start on 326. So if you're not at 326 yet, go ahead and pause this video. Open up your book to 326. And when you are ready to go, you can press play again. Okay? If you're already ready, then we'll begin. On page 326, at the top, following along with your reading finger, it says, Why matter matters. Look around you. What do you see? Are there trees, toys, or books? These things are matter. Matter is anything that takes up space. Even the air that we breathe is matter. So, boys and girls, matter is essentially everything. Okay, this marker that I'm holding is matter. The screen, the tablet or computer that you're on is matter. You, your body, you are matter. Matter is anything that takes up space. And so in science, rather than calling it things, we call it matter. Okay? Now, the active reading box there wants us to find the main idea in that paragraph. And the main idea is that matter is anything that takes up space. So you can either circle, highlight, or double underline, starting with that yellow highlighted word matter, and just go ahead and underline matter is anything that takes up space. That is our main idea. So now, keeping that main idea in mind, anything that takes up space is matter. Let's look at the activity there on 327. It says, look at the ball. Okay, here's the ball. The clock. That's the clock over here. And the boy. Here's the boy. Draw an X on each thing that is matter. Well, we just learned that matter is anything that takes up space. So the ball is a thing that takes up space, so we can put an X on the ball. The clock is a thing that takes up space, so you can put an X on the clock. And the boy is a thing that takes up space, so you can put an X on the boy. All of those things are matter. All right, let's turn to the next page. This page at the top says, what's it like? A property of matter is one part of what something is like. Some properties are size, shape, color, and texture. Texture is what an object feels like. Okay, so let's back up here. A property of matter are kind of like our adjectives, our words that describe things. So how big or small it is, what color it is, what shape it is, how it smells, how it looks, how it feels. And they told us that texture in science is the word that we use for how something feels. So is it smooth? Is it rough? Is it bumpy? That's the word texture, okay? So now in each of these boxes, there are different properties of matter, and they want us to look at the pictures and figure out which object doesn't belong in each group, okay? So let's start with this blue box here, and the blue box says size. So we're looking at the size of the objects in this box, and it says big and small are words that tell about size. Okay, well, looking at this yellow car, that's a pretty big car. Looking at the red and blue cars, they are pretty small cars. So if I had to choose the one that doesn't fit, I would choose the big yellow car because the two small cars go together and the big car doesn't fit. So you can draw an X right on top of the big yellow car because it doesn't belong in the small group. Nice job. Let's go on now to the red box right here where we're going to talk about shape. Okay, shape is another property of matter, another way that we can describe objects or things. And it says star and heart are words that tell about shape. And we know lots of other shapes too because you have very smart brains. But in this box, we have stars and hearts. Now, if you look carefully, I see a blue star, a pink star, and a red heart. So if I had to find the object that doesn't fit in that group, I would choose the heart because the heart is different than the other two. So we have two stars and a heart. We'll cross out the heart. So go ahead and draw an X on the heart. And then we're going to move over to this purplish pinkish box that says color. Red and blue are words that tell about color, and we know there are lots of other colors as well. But in this box, we have red objects and blue objects. So take a look and see if you can figure out which color doesn't belong in the box. If you said blue, you are correct. So go ahead and cross out the blue object because in this box, we have objects that are red. All right, and then the last box, the green box here, is talking about texture. Remember I told you texture is how something feels. Soft and hard are words that can tell us about texture. So looking at these toys here, it looks like two of them are soft and fuzzy, and one of them looks like hard plastic. So if I had to choose the one that doesn't have the same texture as the rest, I would say it's the ladybug. So go ahead right now and cross out the ladybug. And when you're done crossing out the ladybug, you can turn to the next page. All right, so we've talked about certain properties of matter. We've talked about size, shape, color, texture. Now we're going to talk about weight, okay? Some things that you pick up feel very light. Other things can feel really heavy. Weight is the measure of how heavy an object feels. So if something's heavy, it has more weight. If something's light, it has less weight. Okay? So down at the bottom, it says do the math. Order by weight. Order from light, which means not a lot of weight, to heavy, which means a lot of weight. So which one of these do you think would be the lightest? If you were to weigh them on a scale or put them in our pan balance in our classroom, which one would be the lightest? If you guessed the paper clip, you're right. Paper clips are very light. They weigh right around an ounce, which is hardly anything at all. So go ahead and put a number 1 underneath the paper clip. That leaves the jar of paint and the marker. So now, which one of those do you think weighs the least or the lightest? The marker or the jar of paint? If you said marker, you are correct. So underneath the marker, put a number 2. That means that our jar of paint would get a number 3, which would tell us it's the heaviest object in the box. Is that correct? Is the paint the heaviest object? I think you're right. So put a number 3 under the jar of paint. All right, so we've talked about shape, color, size, texture, weight, and now we're going to talk about temperature. Hot or cold? How hot is a pizza? How cold is an ice pop? You can find out by using temperature. Temperature is the measure of how warm something is, okay? So it looks like on this side of the box, we have some hot items, hot pizza fresh out of the oven, hot cocoa. You know, I love my hot coffee in the mornings. And over on this side, we have cold things, a nice ice pop or popsicle, a glass of icy lemonade. So right now, I want you to think of one object of matter that is hot and one that is cold. Go ahead and pause the video, and while it's on pause, in this box, draw a picture of something hot. And then in this box, draw a picture of something cold. And when you're finished, unpause the video and we'll move on to the next page. Go ahead, I'll wait. All right, boys and girls, we are going to continue talking about matter. On page 332, it says, will it sink or will it float? Think about things in a tub or a pool. A sponge may stay on top of the water, and a bar of soap may go down to the bottom. An object that floats stays on top of the liquid, and an object that sinks falls to the bottom. So it says, circle what floats, draw an X on what sinks. So I see the boat is floating, so you can circle the boat. And it looks like this shell sink to the bottom, so you can draw an X on the shell. Over here on 333, it says, the canoe will help. I'm sorry, that's not what it says. It says, the canoe with people is big and heavy. Why does it float? How does it float, right? Because people are heavy, and that boat, we probably couldn't even lift it. So how does it stay on top of the water? Well, it says, look at the clay boat and the clay ball. The ball sinks, and the boat floats. The ball and the boat have different shapes. The shape of the boat helps it float. Sometimes changing the shape of an object can make it sink or float. So it's the shape of the boat that helps it become buoyant and float. Where when they took that clay boat, it floated, but when they crumpled it into the ball, I think I called it a shell, and it sank to the bottom. So shape can change whether or not an object floats. Okay? All right, turn the page. Now we're going to sum it up, and I actually put, this is the sum it up page that we'll do together, and then I put page 325, which was the first page of our unit, here at the end. So when we're done with this sum it up page, you can turn back to 325 and we'll fill out that first page, okay? All right, so on the sum it up page, it says circle each blue shape, okay? So right now, find the blue. There's 1, 2, 3, and circle them. That was easy peasy. Now it says put an X on each square. Now some of the squares might already be circled, and that's okay. You still need to put an X on any of the squares. So here's a square, and here's a square. X those. Then it says draw a line under each big circle. So not the little circle, just the big circles. Draw a line under them. Okay? Down here it says draw an X on the small dog. So which one of those is small? Put an X on it. And then the right about it says, is this toy soft or hard? Write the word. So decide if you think it's soft, you write this word soft. And if you think it's hard, you can write that word hard and write it right there on the line. When you're all done doing that, you can turn back to page 325. So you'll have to turn backwards. So if you want to pause it and turn back until you get to this page, you can do that. Or you can just turn to it very quickly, and then we will fill in the answers, okay? All right, so it says on 325, what can we observe about objects? Find the answer to the question in this lesson. So now that we're done with the lesson, let's find out the answers. How are the blocks in this rabbit the same? Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say they're the same because they are all matter. Okay? So go ahead and you can write matter. You could also write the same texture because they all have the same texture. They're not all the same shape and they're not all the same size or color, but they are all matter and they are all the same texture. Okay, and then down here it says preview the lesson, write the 5 vocabulary terms here. So we actually finished the lesson. So now what you can do is go back through and any of those highlighted words that you saw. So we had here, I'll go back for just a second. The word matter is highlighted, so you'll write that on the first line. The word property, the word texture, all these ones highlighted in yellow. Weight, temperature, okay, all those words you're going to write on these lines. So matter, temperature, weight, all the ones that we just saw, property, texture. So take your time and get those done, okay? I hope you enjoyed working on that today. Tomorrow you will do the brain check page and you'll submit